You're welcome to a fresh edition of your program Towards a Greater Nigeria. And I still remain your anchor, Omotayo Motusho. Today we're still looking at the activities, plans, policies, programs of the Central Bank of Nigeria, because they are contributing their quota in no small measure towards the development of our national economy.
At the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, our core function is the maintenance of price stability. However, for this to be achieved, there must be monetary stability and sound financial environment with unhindered access to capital by the real sector. This is why since 1960, the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has been promoting a sound financial system in Nigeria through interventions and funding of various development initiatives in the agricultural, micro, small and medium enterprises and the infrastructural sectors. The reasons we intervene are to increase credit flow to strategic sectors, reduce financial exclusion rate, and stimulate value chain development. Through guarantees, rebates, and direct funding, we support a vast range of initiatives aimed at creating wealth and boundless job opportunities. Are you in the business of agriculture, MSMEs, or infrastructure development? Visit www.cbn.gov.ng or walk into any CBN branch to know how you too can create wealth and job opportunities. This message is from the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN.
The typical Nigerian secondary school student doesn't have to rack his brains to return "It is the banker's bank" in answer to that inquiry as to what the duties of the Nigerian Central Bank, CBN, are. That refrain has survived many years of tutorial inquiry, but where supervising the commercial banks has remained a central role for the CBN. The apex financial institution has in recent times brought about more people development so much into its operations that no one is in doubt that fixing the economy has become a paramount concern to the men and women in that premier financial powerhouse. Not a few persons are appreciative of the fact that the exchange rate of the Naira to the dollar in particular has seen some stability in recent times. But if you consider that this is an achievement the CBN would like to beat its chest about, you have to cast your eyes a bit further to appreciate the huge macroeconomic actions the Bankers Bank has been engaging just to ensure that the general citizenry get more inclusive participation in the financial system, as well as bolster economic prospects for a populace eager to put behind them the vestiges of a recession that had hit even their personal economies. The signs are that the future bears good tidings. This March was captured in an interview in which CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele outlined some of the key undertakings by the Apex Bank towards returning Nigeria to the days of a healthy economy.
We started the various programs beginning from monetary policy tightening, which fortunately has resulted in inflation moderating from about 18.7% to about 15.9% that it is right now. Even though we're not satisfied, we would like to see inflation come below 12% for us to begin to feel comfortable. So inflation trending downwards, in moderating the market, keeping the foreign exchange market stable, the element of surprise, the element of panic, element of fear, we did a lot to remove those in the system, and that's why you've seen a relative stability in the exchange rate. The story about Ankopura program is about, we started by saying, look, why should we import rice into this country when we can produce rice in Nigeria? Why should we spend scarce foreign exchange to import what we can produce, rice, in Nigeria? And the same goes for very many things. We import rice, we import tomatoes, we import starch. Whereas
even said toothpicks.
We import toothpicks. We import starch, whereas Nigeria is the largest producer of cassava in the world.
Very true.
Why should we import starch, which is the output or the product that comes out of
Nigeria,
cassava?
exactly.
Cassava. Do you understand? Right. So the entire story about Ankopura started in 2015 when we felt, look, that we should not, confronted by the challenge that there's no foreign exchange to be importing all these items, we said, president now called, he said, look, let's go and start a program that will diversify this economy. Let's start with rice, okay? And then in November 2015, he took us to Kebbi. He said, let's launch it. Let Nigerians see us launch this program that we can grow rice again in our country and feed our people. And beyond, I would say, my wildest expectation, the success is so huge, and we thank God that it's looking very, very good. And the president has said, it's not just about rice, it's about tomatoes, right? It's about fish. It's about all those items that we said, look, because we don't have foreign exchange and we can produce them locally, let's start producing them locally. And that's why we said, what does it really take to act for a small farmer who wants to grow rice? What does it take for him to grow his productivity and also go back to farm so he doesn't stay idle doing nothing? That was what we did.
Emefiele has the advantage of working with world-class lieutenants whose contributions are partly the reason the CBN is rolling out policies that are to the ultimate benefit of all Nigerians. For the Deputy Governor, Economic Policy, Dr. Uku Joseph Nana, nothing is as good as an economy whose currency is reasonably stable. This is something that the CBN should take some credit for. The Bankers Bank has quite a number of roles to play in making the Nigerian economy as strong as most citizens would want it to be. Well, just as what happened in an earlier program with the CBN governor himself, Nana goes through some of the functions of the central bank once more.
The Central Bank of Nigeria has a major responsibility in ensuring monetary and financial system stability. We also have a mandate to ensure we have full employment or something close to it and growth.
I was about saying,
yes,
something close to it.
Yes.
You have not gotten that?
No,
Okay.
no. In fact, full employment is mostly utopia. No economy can have full employment if you be it in advanced economy, because you have cyclical unemployment happening from time to time. But if we can manage employment level of maybe 2 to 5% unemployment level, we can beat our chest that we have tried. But it has been very challenging in recent times. So the focus of our monetary policy is to ensure price and financial system stability.
The role Nana outlines is quite clear and truly within the purview of the CBN. But then, quite a number of persons are still not clear why the Nigerian economy would move in the first place into the recession it just got out of.
From 2016, when the oil price tumbled, we were ill prepared to face the music. And as such, the economy went into recession. But Central Bank had warned that we should make haste while the sun shines. We should build fiscal buffer. We should build external buffer. But most importantly, we must diversify the economic base of the country. No country can depend on a single source and survive. It's a very big risk we have been taken in the past, but thank God we have seen the light and we are diversifying the economy. So when the oil price fell, what came naturally was that government revenue also took a beating.
Naturally.
Because we depend on oil resources for around 85 to 90% of our government revenue. When I say government, I mean the 3 tiers of government, the federal, state, and local. Most critically, when oil price fell, our external reserves also plunged because we sell oil in dollar and we earn dollar. The oil price fell to a ridiculous level, not known since the early 90s. That was a natural consequence why the economy went into recession.
When an economy takes a beating, such as portrayed by Nana, some distortions happen, leading to total dislocations. Nana's hint on knowing what to do takes this inquiry into the activities of a very important CBN unit, saddled with doing something to turn many things around. It is the Development Financing Unit, headed by a director, Mudashiru Olaito. He explains the job of his area of jurisdiction.
There are some sectors in the economy that ordinarily, if the government does not intervene, they wouldn't have had such support. So the central bank felt it right that there's need for intervention, particularly if you look at infrastructure development. Again, if you look at smallholder farmers, we have almost 40 to 60 million smallholder farmers that banks cannot deal with such huge accounts. Number in terms of because of the small amounts of money required. They rather go for the oil and gas. So the central bank had to intervene to bring in sort of incentives to see how the banks can be favorably disposed to fund such sectors. And we've been doing that a lot since 1978 through a number of various programs.
It all boils down to giving attention to aspects of the ordinary citizen's life which the limited liquidity of the commercial banks may not accommodate. The CBN has designed many ways it can reach out to the general citizenry. The Anchor Borrowers Program easily stands out among them. Olaito has good perspective on this scheme, and development experts are inevitably attracted by its novel nature.
The Anchor Borrower Program is a novel program that has never been done in any part of the world. You know what?
Part of the world?
Yes, because the fact is the Anchor Borrower Program really focuses from production to marketing. Nigeria, we've had series of programs over the years, Operation Feed the Nation. You have
Green Revolution.
Green Revolution, accelerated wheat program. But then the focus has been, let's provide credit. The problem has been credit for farmers. They get credit, things will move. But we realize that beyond credit, there are other issues. And what we are really doing is that apart from production, in between production and marketing, is that we provide credit, but in between there are some other logistic issues. We have the insurance coming in, we have the financial institutions, we have the logistic providers, the aggregators. Because what has been happening over the years is that farmers produce, nowhere to sell, nobody to evacuate, nobody to process. So at every point in time, the Anchor Borrowers Program addresses all those issues.
It's the entire
agricultural value chain. And the issue is now that when the farmer produces, it can sleep because it's rest assured that the market is there. And that's why we call it Anchor. The Anchor is there to buy off the farmers.
That's where you got the name from.
The Anchor. So the Anchor
We
is
all
the
need an anchor.
yes. The Anchor is the mailer that collects the produce and process. Okay. For instance, the paddy, you can see that we are now beginning to see more of local rice in the market. And it's been said that the Nigerian rice is far better than any other because they are fresh and the tastes are very, very good. They are very delicious.
If Mr. Olaito's satisfaction with all this were in any doubt, the words of the Deputy Director, Economic Policy, would come as good support for the Anchor Borrowers Program, as much as so many other initiatives introduced by the Central Bank of Nigeria.
The Anchor Borrowers Program is already known. I don't need to rehash it here. KB State, Ebonyi State, even Lagos State. People don't even believe that Lagos produces rice. They do. Oka, Anambra State, they produce rice. Today, we can beat our chest that we are self-sufficient as far as rice consumption is concerned.
The Anchor Borrowers Program may have kicked off mainly with the production of rice, but it is surely a more ambitious project which is rubbing off and will still rub off on more areas of agriculture. It is pertinent at this point to mention a few instruments by which the CBN supports its agriculture initiative. One of them is the Commercial Agriculture Credit Scheme, CACS, and here again is Dr. Olaito.
The commercial cultural credit scheme is actually to fast track development of agro-allied industries. That's why we call it big ticket funding. What it has been able to do, we've funded over 55 projects over time, and the job created is over 1 million from this investment. So what this program will be able to do is that for investors who are looking for a fund to invest in processing, they access fund from this program, this scheme. So, for instance, we funded the tomato value chain, we funded the palm oil value chain. So all these ones have been very beneficial to the economy in the sense that some of these, the produce, the output were imported before. Yeah. But with the domestication of the industry in this commodity value chain, we now see that we don't need to import those again. For instance, if you look at the tomato puree, we now have many industries coming up, which in Nigeria. We have such as the Arisco tomato factory in Lagos. We have a Dangote tomato factory in Kano. And also we are also working with some others like the Gino they are setting up in Katsina now. The Gino that I use in the kitchen? Yes. Gino? Yes. Oh, will now be produced in Nigeria? Hopefully. So we are working with them to see how we can quickly fast track all this whole process.
Whatever level of dedication to national altruism the CBN might demonstrate by its various packages for agriculture-eager Nigerians, accessibility of the things on offer is a matter many Nigerians want to hear something about. Olaito talks about availing oneself of these opportunities.
So what we've been able to do, for instance, first we have branches all over the country. We are represented in all the 36 states, including FCT. We have an development finance office. And the job of the development finance office is actually to work with the farmers at the grassroots. What we do, we mobilize them into self-help groups, into clusters, into cooperatives, and they are not taken through the process of accessing the fund. And we also do this most often than not in collaboration with the state government, the State Ministry of Agriculture, who we work on now to see we mobilize all these farmers, we educate them. So through that, we now introduce them to financial services. For instance, under the Anchor Borders program, what we normally do is this. When we get to any state, assuming, for instance, when we started with Kebbi State government on the rice production, we set up what we call the PMT, Project Management Team, which comprises the state government officials, the Ministry of Agriculture, the Agricultural Development Program, the financial institutions available, the insurance. Then we also have the input suppliers. So at the town hall meeting, we discuss the EOP, the economics of production. Because the process is democratic and participatory, we want the farmers to see that everything is transparent. At that town hall meeting, they will agree on, okay, they are cultivating 1 hectare of rice. How much is it going to cost? They tell you they use 6 bags of fertilizer. If the input supplier says it's 6,000, they say, no, we buy 5,000. So at the town, they will agree on the prices.
In a country where cultural and religious circumstances could inhibit equal gender participation in the CBN initiative, a system is in place to ensure that women do not lose out. Same equity goes out for segments of society, including the physically challenged.
The MSME Development Fund is actually focused on small businesses, and particularly the women-owned enterprises. Because the governor of the central bank, when we commence the operations of the scheme, the focus has been that we need to bring more women to be able to access. Because normally, the studies have shown that when we talk about access to credit, women are not really, not that they are disenfranchised, but they've not been getting that as so the focus now has been that, okay, let's dedicate 6% of this fund to women-owned enterprises. And again, also we have the PWD, people living with disabilities. So those also, they are also a very critical mass that need to get access. So 2% of fund has also been dedicated to the group. And what we are really doing about it, that we are hoping that from every state we must be able to fund at least 200 of such. Then the women, the good thing that when we look at the data now, it's really making waves, because we've observed that over 62% of the fund now goes to women-owned enterprises. And one thing that's also important why women should be supported, that it's also been observed that they pay better.
I wanted you to finish that we pay better because we want to keep our names. Some men don't care. And you say all men.
So because of that, generally we have been seeing that the fund made available are being repaid.
As all these efforts are made to return the Nigerian economy to normality, there are anxious questions about whether or not the days of recession are over. No doubt, those making the inquiry know that their CBN-inspired projects can only thrive well if the environment of work is not just conducive, but is further one that assures them of good return on investment and continuity of purpose. So, returning to the CBN Director of Economic Policy, there was an inquiry on whether the country has completely exited a recession or not.
Yes and no. Yes, for now, we had a growth of almost 2% during the first quarter of 2018. We have witnessed consistent growth in the past 4 quarters or so, from 2017 to the almost first half of 2018. So I can say, yes, we have gotten out of recession, practically and theoretically. Can we slip back into recession? The answer is yes.
If care is not taken.
If care is not taken. Besides, economic growth and development is a race, so
it is a race.
yes,
It's a continuum.
yes, they continue. You don't simply say, oh, okay, I'm running and I won't come back. You can just stop midway.
And you're in trouble.
You're in trouble. So the only way we can guarantee steady growth is if we have a consistent monetary and fiscal policy, and above all, a consistent structural policy to wean us out of oil dependency. And I believe the economic and recovery plan of the federal government is aimed at that. The central bank's development policy is also aimed to that. You know, when the central bank had 41 items on the negative list, we were criticized.
Of course. The media went to town.
But I am so happy that the same media
That went to town
are coming back to praise us for doing that.
The CBN story will of course hang in the air without good anchor if comments by the CBN governor himself are not properly incorporated in a piece that seeks ultimate answers to Nigeria's economic development. Soft-spoken and resourceful in his usually sober dignity, Emefiele gives a direction as to what the ultimate focus is for Nigeria's apex financial institution.
As we see to it that we build reserves, even to a level higher than it is right now, much higher. Don't forget, I repeat, in 2008, September precisely, Nigeria's reserve was $62 billion. So there's nothing wrong in saying that we want to build our reserves back to those levels. What happens is that when you build your reserves to those levels, level of confidence goes up. Do you understand?
Yes.
And as level of confidence goes up, the reliance on imported items reduces. Do you understand?
Yes.
Economy gets more robust, gets stronger, so you can begin to see that effectively you will see an appreciation in the foreign exchange rate. And I think that would happen. But we only need to be tenacious. We need to be tenacious. We need to remain focused and begin to do and continue to do what we're doing now. And that's why we're saying, for us as Central Bank of Nigeria, we're happy that the trend is looking up. And we would like to continue to take decisions that will continue to push the trend even further upwards. We would not like to take any decision that will upset it, and we are monitoring all macroeconomic data and variables anyone that will see me upset it, we will try and see how to really nip it in the bud so that it does not create more problems for us. The direction has to be upward, but it requires a lot of work from everybody.
Many young men and women are in the bandwagon of the CBN trip to a more productive Nigeria. It is a ride anyone eligible needs to join.
I'm sure you've learned something as well. We've been looking at the activities, plans, policies, programs of the Central Bank of Nigeria and how they are contributing to moving Nigeria forward. I still remain Omotayo Motisho. It is towards a greater Nigeria, and as I've often said, to build a better Nigeria, it's not just for the government alone, it is a collective responsibility. So you should ask yourself, are you contributing your own quota in your own little way to making Nigeria a better place? Thank you for joining us. God bless you.